Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome to Sam's Doing Stuff. What am I doing today? Well, I think mud season is finally here in Northeast Ohio, and I don't want to be out here in this muck, so I'm going to work in these barns. Now, a quick history on these barns. There used to be an older barn built in between the two of them, and they tore that down before we moved into this property. So I've had to do a whole lot of work on getting these barns up to shape. And I need to get electricity in them, okay? There used to be electricity in them, but when they tore that old barn down, they tore out the electricity. They left some wiring and some fixtures and whatnot, so trying to get it all sorted out and get these barns to where I have some useful electricity. So what's irony? Irony is doing electrical work in the dark. Yes, I have no electricity in here, so I have no light. So I've run 400 feet of extension cord down from the house so that I can use a stand light down here and at least do some work and be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, that's better. Yeah, gotta have some light on the subject. Now these are barns. If I were finishing my basement, I would be using code. You know, this is how high switches are supposed to be. This is where outlets are supposed to go, blah, 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 blah. These are barns. So it's really difficult for me to get started. What I need to do is I'm just thinking about where do I need things to be? Just start with that. I'm gonna go, I don't know if it's backwards, starting with switches and outlet boxes. I need an outlet here. I want the switch to be here when I walk in, etc., if you see what I'm saying. So we're gonna start with the boxes and get things where I want them to be. So to start out, I bought a bunch of stuff that I know I'm gonna need. I definitely need a sub panel. So Square D Homeline 100 amp sub panel, 6 spaces, 12 circuits. Got some Square D Homeline breakers. I got myself a bunch of wire and outlets, plates, all kinds of stuff. This is why you go in the store, by the way. I did the whole pickup, you know what I mean? They get your order ready. See, these are supposed to have screws in them. Like this one? Yeah. So I'll have to rob from my stash. Speaking of that, of course, I save everything, so I've got all kinds of extra little pieces of wire and stuff that I might need, so I just bring that whole kit and caboodle down there, and then of course I've got a bunch of junction boxes and plates. Well, the best place to start is at the beginning, and the first thing I want to do when I walk in here is to be able to turn on the lights, okay? So we're going to mount a light switch right around here somewhere. And I know it's a barn, but I'm gonna go ahead and measure. Typical light switch is 48 inches off the ground. So that comes about right. We're gonna mount it right here, right above this piece of wood. Another place I know I'm gonna want an outlet is right here on this pole, because it's next to the tractor. And I would love to be able to plug a battery tender in the wintertime. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm starting with stuff that I am 100% sure of, and I am 100% sure I'm gonna need at least one outlet, maybe two, above my workbench. Yeah, let's do two. Now let's talk lights. This is by far the darkest corner in this building, so we're gonna get a light up in this corner for sure. All right. We're gonna go right here. That's gotta go down far enough. Perfect. It's good. All right, let's get on to something new. I've changed my mind on some things. I moved the outlet box that I put on the pole over there over to the wall because it was going to take way too much wire. I'm starting to think about how much wire it's going to take to get from each point and for each circuit. And I even took these off the wall because I'm going to put a gangable box. Why have two separate outlets? Put a gangable one and then I can just run one wire to it. I'm trying to save as much wire as I can. So the next thing I want to do is I just want to mount the breaker box. A good rule of thumb in life is to not try to speak too intelligently about something you know nothing about. I am not an electrician, but I know enough to be dangerous with this stuff. This is your electrical box. You've got two sides. It would kind of just be like your normal box inside, but this is a sub panel. So you got two 110s or 120s, I don't know. It's half and half. And then you've got your common up here. Everything gets wired in there. So that's your white wire. So two black wires and a white wire. And then they don't provide you with the ground. I had to buy that separately. So this is a ground bar, and they give you a couple of screws. And they've got different places you can see in here that you can attach the ground bar. So you want to just kind of put it where it's convenient. All of my circuits, all my wires for my circuits are going to come in through the top that go out to the outlets and switches, and then my main is going to come through the bottom, okay? So because I know that, I want all of my grounds to be up here where I can get to them. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my mains up and around this way, and then I'll have my circuits, wires for my circuits come in through here. I'll run the grounds over to there, neutrals to here, and then the hots will go to the breakers. So anyway, I'm going to put that ground bar in and get it mounted to the wall. So there are certain requirements. I want to remind everybody this is a barn. This does have a top and a bottom to it. It says right inside top. Anyway, there are certain requirements about where you should place a panel in a home or what have you. It's supposed to be no higher than 6 feet. This is going to be a little bit higher than 6 feet. They kind of say, think of a telephone booth, and the height of the it should, kind of be within the height of a telephone booth. This is pretty close. It's not going to be too bad. So anyway, it's accessible. That's the main idea. Put a level on it and make sure it's good. Look good, pretty good to you? All right. I mean, why not, right? Let's make it perfect. Okay, it's mounted. Like I said, see, I'm 6 feet tall here, and yeah. It's higher, but it's probably at the very maximum of what it should be allowed. You could reach it, you can access it, you can turn it off. It's good. This board was already here. Obviously, they had other electrical stuff up there, so that's why I'm putting it where it is. So now that we've got our breaker box in place and we've got a couple of fixtures and switches and outlet boxes, we know how long our wire runs are going to be. So now we can start running wire. Basic procedure for this is you're going to take and do a knockout on one of your boxes, pull it off, just twist it till it pops. For these boxes, it's going to go through one of these little clamps. It's a wire clamp that goes into the box. This is why I save all of my old wire, because this piece that I saved just happens to be exactly how long I'm going to need. So we're going to go from our outlet box through that little clamp, and we're going to go about 6 inches. Now, how much is 6 inches? You're just going to go to the bottom of the box. Really, that's more like 4, but just go beyond the bottom of the box. That should be good. And I'm going to tighten these back up. So this is going to be the beginning of our circuit for our outlets, okay? So I got that clamped in there and it's ready to go, but I need to think about my next run, which is going to go to the next outlet, and that needs to come back up out of here and run. So we're going to start with a long piece of wire. All right, so this is our next run to the next outlet. We're going to loosen this back up. I'm using 12 gauge 2-wire. 2-wire means there's a hot, a neutral, and a ground. Even though there's 3 wires in there, it's called 2-wire. Now that's all that's going in and out of that box, so I'm going to go ahead and put a staple on that sucker. Since I've got my first circuit started here, I'm going to label this wire. Okay, so this is the big barn. I'm going to go big barn, outlets, south. So now it's just a matter of continuing this process. I'm going to run this wire along the wall over to the next outlet and just tie them all together. Same exact thing over and over. Okay, wires are run, all the outlets are wired, and lights and everything and switches. You didn't need to watch me do that. That is a pain in the butt. And let me tell you something you gain by being a jack of all trades is respect. Respect for those of you out there that do this for a living in the trades. My goodness, it is not easy. I understand why you make what you make if you do it well. So anyway, I want to take a break before I get on to the next part of this. And I want to say thank you for all the support you guys show and the comments. You know, the last video, I'm making the decision to grow my firewood business, you know, and my wife and I are always talking about, you know, the next level of success and how to achieve it and what successful people do and all this kind of stuff. And my wife reads books and all this. And we were talking about something that's it's so enlightening, really. Don't rely on your goals. Okay, now let me explain. It's not a bad thing to have goals, but you cannot, they're useless if you rely on them. Because let's talk about a runner, okay? If a runner's goal is to run a marathon, okay, they run and they prepare and they train and, you know, they get there and they run the marathon and they're successful at their goal. They get past that finish line. What's next? If that was their goal, then they're done. A runner's goal is to be a runner. So no matter what level you are, if you're a runner, you're going to get up every morning, you're going to start creating those good habits, and you're going to run. And you may say, well, you know, I want to complete a marathon someday, and that's a good direction to point yourself in. But creating those habits that put you into the definition of being a runner is what you really want to do. It's that discipline and those good habits that you create through the discipline that every morning you're just going to get up and you're going to run because that's what you do. You're a runner. Now, when you get done with that marathon, guess what? You're a runner. You're just going to get up the next day and you're going to run some more. Same goes with dieting, exercise, anything. You say, well, I'm going to be a healthy person. I'm not going to look for this goal of losing 20 pounds. I'm just going to be a healthy person. And that healthy person is going to create habits that get them to a point of where they probably lose that 20 pounds and maybe even more. But every single day, they're going to keep on doing those habits that make them a healthy person. And see, you see what I'm saying? So when I look at this firewood business, I already have the habits. I'm already a wood hound. I know what I am. I love doing it and I'm going to keep doing it. So the goals that are out there to create more firewood, to maybe have different, you know, levels. It's like beating that boss at the end of the game level. You're just looking for those key moments. The habit of getting up every day, doing what I need to do, and every week creating more firewood is already there. So I think I'm going to be successful at it. Time will tell, and we'll just see where it goes. So, all right, enough of that. You know what to do. I know what to do. Let's get on to this box. So here's where I am. I have 3 circuits run into the box. I have my lights, and my dad convinced me to not waste my number 12 wire for the lights, so I use number 14 wire for the lights. And I have 2 sets of outlets, one for the south side of the barn and one goes to the north side of the barn, okay? Those are ready to be wired in. And I'm only gonna do 3 circuits at this point. Now remember, this has 6 spaces and it can take up to 12 circuits. So I'm gonna use 3 of these spaces and I'm only gonna use one side, 110, for this box, and I'll show you why. So go ahead, call me crazy, but hold off on your comment until the end of this video because I don't know if this is gonna work or not yet. It should in theory. So I don't have proper cable run from the house from the 220 down to here to wire this sub panel. I have a 300-foot extension cord and it is powering the other barn just fine. I'm only doing LED lights and maybe charging a battery, okay? I'm not running any heavy equipment or anything like that, so just like I said, I'm just trying to head off the comments here. Wait till the end of the video and we'll see if this works. So how I want to power this box right now is using that 300-foot extension cord. So, I know, shut up. I've got a box here and I have a standard 3-prong inlet that I'm going to wire in, and I'm going to wire to only half of the sub panel. Now, the sub panel running through the breakers should act like any typical surge protector where you've got multiple outlets on it and it's got a 15 amp breaker on it. This is the way I'm thinking. I'm going to only run 110. It's a number 12 extension cord, so it's good wire. It's rated at 15 amps. I mean, I know the resistance, 300 feet, there's a lot of resistance, but once again, I'm not running, you know, 1 horsepower motors off of it or anything like that. I'm only gonna, I want lights in here and I want to be able to charge batteries. And it's just for the winter until tomorrow, until the summer when I can trench and run the real wire. So let's give it a shot. Hot. Neutral. I'd like to mention right now, in case there's any actual electricians out there watching, I did not bond my neutral to the panel because this is a sub panel. Well, there it is. All you gotta do is plug an extension cord into it. Goes up, hot, neutral, and ground. All I gotta do is install the breakers. See if it works. I guess I should say at this point, just reiterate, always hire a licensed electrician. Electricity is dangerous. This is not a how-to video. This is for entertainment purposes only. This portion of the video is called Tell People You're Not a Licensed Electrician Without Saying You're Not a Licensed Electrician. Well, nothing's touching anything it's not supposed to touch, and all of my connections are tight. So I'm going to put a plate over it and no one will ever see it. Well, all that's left now is to test it. So I'm going to plug this light into this outlet. I'm going to plug my power source, which is this extension cord here, into here. Now that also serves as a main shutoff. So if I want to shut this whole thing off, I can just pull that. So anyway. All right, so this should be this breaker. It works. It works. Wow, it works. Why wouldn't it work? Electricity is like plumbing, except it can kill you. Next circuit I want to test is my lights. So let's take one of these bad boys up here and screw it in. All right, turn the breaker on for the lights. And flip the switch. Oh boy, I'm happy. Let there be light. Yep, it works. So I want to tell you a few things, a couple of really important points to note. Number one, the extension cord. Yes, it's a 300-foot extension cord. It goes from an external outlet on the house that, of course, goes to a breaker inside the panel. So there's a trip fault available for that. It is a number 12 gauge extension cord, which wasn't cheap. It was about $175. And where it runs through the yard and down to the barn, there's one place where I drive back and forth from the barn to the house, and that it's protected underground with a piece of pipe. So it's not getting run over. I'm not going to be mowing over it, obviously, in the wintertime, and come summertime, I'm expecting to put in proper wire. This is just temporary. This is not a permanent thing that you should do. It is temporary. I'm going to put in probably 8 gauge, 3 wire. We'll have 2 hots, a neutral and a ground, coming off of a 240 breaker, and powering this down here with adequate power that I'd be able to run something like this drill press, which I will not be doing in this scenario. Yeah, this is just for lights and charging batteries, like I said. So also, I want to just reiterate, if you're not comfortable doing this type of stuff, hire an electrician. Electricity is nothing to play with. It can kill you. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it right there. So anyway, I hope you really like this video as much as I liked making it, because wow, it worked. I love it. And you know what? If you like my channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time when I am doing more stuff.